Good morning and welcome again to your Renewed Faith devotions as we're reflecting on the great influences of our faith. We continue to look at the book of intrigue as we look at Esther, and from chapter 3 and 4 I read selected verses. Sometime later, King Ahasuerus promoted Haman, the son of Hammedatha, the Agagite, exalting him and setting his position above that of all the officials who were with him. As a result, all the king's servants who were at the king's gate were bowing and paying homage to Haman, for the king had so commanded. However, Mordecai did not bow, nor did he pay him homage. When Haman saw that Mordecai was not bowing or paying homage to him, he was filled with rage. But the thought of striking out against Mordecai alone was repugnant to him, for he had been informed of the identity of Mordecai's people. So Haman sought to destroy all the Jews, that is, the people of Mordecai, who were in the kingdom of Ahasuerus. In the first month, that is, the month of Nisan, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus's reign, that is, the lot, was cast before Haman in order to determine a day and a month. It turned out to be the 12th month, that is, the month of Adar. Then Haman said to King Ahasuerus, "There is a particular people that is dispersed and spread among the inhabitants throughout all the provinces of your kingdom, whose laws differ from all those of all the other peoples. Furthermore, they do not observe the king's laws. It is not appropriate for the king to provide a haven for them. If the king is so inclined, let an edict be issued to destroy them. I will pay 10,000 talents of silver." So the king removed his signet ring from his hand and gave it to Haman. The king replied to Haman, "Keep your money and do with those people whatever you wish." So the royal scribes were summoned. Everything Haman commanded was written. Letters were sent by the runners to all the king's provinces, stating that they should destroy, kill, and annihilate all the Jews, from youth to elderly, both women and children, on the 13th day of the 12th month, that is, the month of Adar, and to loot and plunder their possessions. The messengers scurried forth with the king's order. The edict was issued in Susa the citadel. While the king and Haman sat down to drink, the city of Susa was in an uproar. Now, when Mordecai became aware of all that had been done, he tore his garments and put on sackcloth and ashes. He went out into the city, crying out in a loud and bitter voice. Throughout each and every province where the king's edict and law were announced, there was considerable mourning among the Jews, along with fasting, weeping, and sorrow. Sackcloth and ashes were characteristic of many. When Esther's female attendants and her eunuchs came and informed her about Mordecai's behavior, the queen was overcome with anguish. So Esther called for Hathach and instructed him to find out the cause and the reason for Mordecai's behavior. Then Mordecai related to him everything that had happened to him. He also gave him a written copy of the law that had been disseminated in Susa for their destruction, so that he could show it to Esther. He also gave instructions that she should go to the king to implore him and petition him on behalf of her people. Then Esther replied, "All the servants of the king and the people of the king's provinces know that there is only one law applicable to any man or woman who comes uninvited to the king in the inner court. That person will be put to death, unless the king extends to him the gold scepter. Now I have not been invited to come to the king for some 30 days. When Esther's reply was conveyed to Mordecai, he said, "Don't imagine that because you are part of the king's household, you will be the one Jew who will escape. If you keep quiet at this time, liberation and protection for the Jews will appear from another source, while you and your father's household perish. It may very well be that you have achieved royal status for such a time as this." Then Esther sent this reply to Mordecai: "Go, assemble all the Jews who are found in Susa, and fast in my behalf. Don't eat and don't drink for 3 days, night or day. My female attendants and I will also fast in the same way. Afterward, I will go to the king, even though it violates the law. If I perish, I perish." So Mordecai set out to do everything that Esther had instructed him. Now I know that this is a long passage, so I'm not going to speak too much to it. King Xerxes promotes an Agite by the name of Haman to be his prime minister, decreeing that everyone should acknowledge his prominent position by bowing down before him. And this Mordecai refuses to do, and when challenged, explains that because he is a Jew, he cannot agree to bow down before anyone but God. Upon hearing this, Haman becomes extremely angry and determines to destroy not only Mordecai, but every Jew in Persia. Cunningly, he persuades the king to issue a royal decree calling for the massacre of all the Jews. And Mordecai, hearing of this decree, pleads with Esther to intercede with the king, affirming that this could well be the reason why she finds herself in the royal palace. Thinking about this, Paul wrote in Romans 12 verse 1, "Therefore I urge you, brothers, in view of God's mercy, to offer your bodies as living sacrifices, holy and pleasing to God. This is your spiritual act of worship." Those words that Esther said, "If I perish, I perish." Are you willing to stand up for your faith and belief in Jesus?